regular Tuesday
What
going
was
into
it?
work. You just want to wear something spectacular that you would not necessarily wear on Tuesday
Yeah.
going to work.
I mean, that's, what I think makes events like these really fun is it gives you an opportunity to wear something that you want to wear, but maybe
Absolutely.
don't have the confidence to wear day to day because you feel like, oh, I'm going to be the only one. Everyone's going to be looking at me. And these events give you an opportunity to do that without feeling strange because everyone else is also dressed up in that dress that they really wanted to wear but never found a reason to. And I think what makes me so happy about the way people are participating in these events is you really realize the huge disconnect that there has been with the fashion industry and reality in that there's so many garments being pushed on us in billboards and ads here and there that people love and they find them gorgeous, but they say, where would I wear that? And the reality is, so much of our culture has gone so casual. Everyone apparently has had a fear of asking people to dress up, or the association with dressing up being sort of stuffy, that everyone has been in a rush to go casual. I mean, even the Museum of Natural History of LA County here, they now have their entire staff wearing t-shirts. And I believe even LA Opera had their staff in much more casual attire. And I remember LA Opera telling me about how, so much of their promotional campaign over the past several years has been to let people know they don't have to dress up to come to the opera. And I thought, no, like, what are you doing? Believe it or not, people do want to dress up. They want a reason to wear these outfits. They want a reason to buy these outfits. And when you think about when and why we dress up in contemporary American culture, I know a lot of people think it's not fun, but if you think about why, you get to the answer. And it's because so many of the times that you're dressing up, it's because of what? Oh, a wedding, a funeral, a graduation. In all three of those examples, yeah, you're dressing up, but you don't want to be the focus.
No, and it's a very formal occasion.
Yes.
That's the way in which you dress for a wedding.
And so
it says on the invitation card.
Yeah, because you don't want to upstage the bride.
No, of course
You don't
not.
want to upstage the person in the casket.
No.
You don't want to upstage the person graduating. And so it's like, okay, so those events are sort of, out. And then you think of, when you're going out at night, it's like, well, that's black. You're going to wear something black. You're going to wear something, where, you want to look sexy. You want to look attractive. You're not wearing a floral print, you know.
Most likely not.
And so you find out or you have work events that's like this sort of cocktail casual. You never really get opportunities to wear like that fun party dress, a floral print, colors, bold patterns, like men, like when, you don't get to wear a suit of a color or of a bold plaid or something, because just every occasion is calling for, elegant but restrained, or elegant but let someone else be the focus. And so, and just about all these events are at night. Like we rarely have anything during the daylight where you can see color. And so all of these come into play, where then someone like me says, hey, we're doing something. It's all day long. It's in the daylight. It's in the afternoon. It's a bunch of other people. You can just be the focus of your own ensemble. You don't have to worry about, upstaging someone else. And that really just lets people say, oh my gosh, here we go. This is what I've wanted to do. Yeah.
Is there such a thing as dressing over the top?
Yeah, I mean...
is that possible?
I
Can
suppose
you do
it's
that?
possible to dress over the top. I mean, Lady Gaga would know all about that. But I think, the thing that I'm most interested in is people being able to dress in a way where their attire is, their biography in a way, where their attire is their own conversation starter. Because I believe it's Tom Ford, said at some point in some interview I saw, that dressing up is an act of respect for other people, because you are acknowledging that you are in other people's visual field, and you are, saying, I know that you are seeing me, therefore I'm not going to look terrible. I'm going to look pleasing to your eye. What I have found that happens in our events is in that act of saying, I am going to dress in a way where I know I'm being looked at, opens a channel where other people then know that they can approach you and say, oh my gosh, that looks so amazing. Where did you get that hat? Where do you get those shoes? I love your outfit. Did you make this? Where is this from? And if the other person is dressed up too, then, this immediately starts a dialogue. And so what we found, with our Disneyland events in particular, is just people won't even go on the rides. Everyone is just hanging out because everyone is just talking to everyone else. And it changes the dynamic. It changes the experience so much. Whereas normally when you're going to Disneyland or a museum or wherever, you are keeping to yourself and you really wish no one else was around you. You go to Disneyland and you say, wow, I'd be having fun if there was just no one else in line in front of me. Well, and that's because you're really all broadcasting that you don't want to talk to anyone else. Mm-hmm. You've dressed for your comfort. And that is, as far as your concern has gone. When you change that and say, no, I'm here to be part of the decoration. I'm here to be part of your experience. It opens everything up and everyone starts talking to everyone else. And that's the number one feedback I've got from guests about these events is they say, oh my God, I've been to Disneyland 100 times, but I never had an experience like I did during your Dapper Day outing, because everyone was talking to everyone else and I made so many friends and I got to know so many people. And, I guess that's magic. I don't know what else to say about that.
I think it's magic. But so you've been in contact with LACMA. And how has that been? Because this is a museum. We know there's security in place.
Yes.
We know that you're not allowed to go too close to painting or whatever. How has that whole process been of having a museum to talk with and to negotiate things with? And because it's very informal in that you don't need a special ticket.
Yes. Yeah.
It doesn't cost more to get in to be a part of this event?
No, whenever I can, I try and organize events in a way that allow for our followers of Dapper Day to be integrating and mixing and mingling with whatever the normal audience would be. LACMA had reached out to me, which was funny because I'd been reaching out to LACMA for about 2 years because I saw that they had a menswear exhibit coming down the pipeline, and I thought, oh my gosh, this would be perfect. We have to partner with them and get everyone in there to see this. They eventually had the same idea and reached out to me. And so that was our first partnership with LACMA, was when they had the Raining Men menswear exhibit. Unfortunately, it did turn out to be about 110 degrees that day. But
which is unfortunate if you're in a suit.
Yeah. So that was a little rough. But it's, we can't hold Dapper Day outings anywhere. People want us to. We get requests from institutions all over the place wanting us to hold events there. And, I try and explain that we're not a Pretty People canon. We don't just, blast it out there and say, hey, everyone dress up and go to this location. It doesn't work that way. A lot of locations just don't lend themselves to the sort of atmosphere that we want. But LACMA has a very large and varied campus in terms of the buildings, the history of the buildings, the style of the buildings, the way you flow through them, as well as the grounds themselves. So you really have a great sense of place. And I mean, can I say we have a bit of a sense of history here in LA, going all the way back to the 60s. And so those are some of the elements that are really needed for what I feel to be a successful Dapper Day event is you need to feel a connection to the architecture and the space itself. It can't, I've looked at Griffith Park. There's no place really in Griffith Park where I feel you have a sense of place. I'd love to hold an event with the Getty. I think the Getty has a real great, although it's a very contemporary architecture, the choice of materials I find very grounding.
Oh, yes.
And timeless.
And the gardens.
Yeah, the gardens.
The grounds are amazing.
And the green space, I feel very much, feels like the Tuileries or a European park space made for lounging and socializing.
Just the way you stroll down.
Yes.
You sort of make your way from the one building to the other.
Yeah.
It's very, very good.
Yeah. So that's on my radar.
Mm-hmm.
But, I should say, part of all of this is, this isn't a new creation all that much. I mean, I came up with this idea, but this is all really rooted in the European pleasure gardens, really starting in the late 1500s, 1600s and beyond, like with Vauxhall Gardens, in London, where that was really sort of the dawn of a theme park in a way. And what's going on with our events, especially our Disneyland and our Disney theme park outings, is very much continuing that tradition of a moment where everyone, because those pleasure gardens, Vauxhall Gardens, was open to anyone who could pay the admission. And you would get dressed up and you would come, and it was a huge social gathering, a melange of all levels of society. And everyone wanted to see, well, partly they were coming, for the music, which is, something we can't even really conceive of today, that you can't just have music, whenever you want it. So, so you're going for the music, which is still, of course, a huge part of, any amusement park, theme park, Disney park experience. But what has changed with the Disney parks is they're no longer about meeting other people. They're about you going with your friends and family and having that isolated experience. My Dapper Day events changed that dynamic to go back to more of the roots of what a pleasure garden was about, where it's about everyone who's there interacting with each other and enjoying the space together.
Well, yeah, because in those days, it would have been, like you said, anyone can come in if they can pay the fee.
Yep.
But it would also be very new that you have something like a day off.
Yes.
In itself, just having that wardrobe where you have one dress that's nicer than the other.
Yeah, it was the beginning of having a sort of...
It's the beginning of the middle classes.
Exactly. The beginning of... You had like a merchant class. For the first time you had, shopkeepers and so on, and people who were the closest to what I guess you might say, modern society now, where
absolutely.
And they, just like us, we're really beginning to explore and enjoy that. And I think that what I find so charming about the lineage of Dapper Day outings to Disney parks, to its roots with the Vauxhall Pleasure Gardens, was this element of taking an experience that used to be exclusively the domain of royalty or high society that had grand estates where you could throw a big ball or a huge party on your estate grounds. Vauxhall, and these pleasure gardens were meant to emulate that in a way, the experience of being able to have that kind of a party, but but on a sort of public space. And you see that now